All right, before we jump into the project, let me talk a little bit about tweening and how creating a tween of your objects can help speed up some of the animation process and make the workflow go a lot easier. Before we've done any other kind of animation, we've always created different keyframes for every change in the object that we wanted to see. So if we wanted our objects to move across the screen, we'd create a different keyframe along the timeline and then either move it into position, or maybe we'd create a squash or a stretch, or we'd swap out a symbol altogether, as in that's when we did our lip syncing. Well, tweening leverages your computer's ability to do the work by giving your object a starting position, then giving it the ending position or state, and let the computer choose all the appropriate frames in between that starting and stopping position. And so this makes it a whole lot easier and faster to work when creating complex animations because the computer's doing all the hard work for you. Now in Animate, there are three different kinds of tweens you can create, and some you're going to use more often than others, but I wanted to showcase kind of what each could do. There's a classic, a motion, and a shape tween, and you can see I've got three different layers in my timeline, and each one corresponds to the red, blue, and green rectangle that I have on my stage. So let's zoom in. I'll start off with the classic tween, and I'll do that with our red rectangle down here at the bottom. I've chosen my classic tween object. This object needs to be saved as a symbol. So whatever you create or import to your library, make sure it's saved as a symbol. I've already saved this one as a classic tween symbol, so we'll go ahead and jump into that. But once it's a symbol, you can go up to Insert and choose Classic Tween. And if you look at your timeline, it's not too obvious now, but our keyframe is turned into a purple highlighted keyframe. This means whatever I do, it's going to create the tween motion that I want to see. So with it selected, let's give it an end state. It'll start off here, and let's say at 30 seconds, I'm going to insert another blank keyframe, and I'm going to move it to the right side of my screen. Check out my timeline that I have. First off, keyframe 1 starts off here, then I've got an arrow pointing to keyframe 30 that ends here. And if I was to play test my screen, you can see it moves from that point to the other, which is pretty cool. And if I wanted to change the speed of it, well, all I have to do is to change the ending position from 30 frames to something closer to 15 or 20 frames, or to slow it down, expand it out farther on my time frame. Some other things you can do with keyframes, excuse me, with classic tweens can be found in your Properties panel. I'm going to choose frame 1 again. Open up my properties, and in the middle of it you can see there's different tweening effects that you can add to it. One of the first and most simple effects is to add some easing to it. So you can ease in or out depending on the number that we have. If we do a negative number, it'll kind of have an easing in effect. So watch it start off slow and get fast. Slow, and then speeds up. So very quickly and easily it eases in. If I wanted to ease out that effect, let's select keyframe 1 again. Go positive 100. You can see it starts off quick and eases into that one. And you can edit your easing in and out by clicking on the little drawing tool, and you can change the timeline or the little curvature line. So this one would look like this. Ease in. So that's kind of a little hesitation type of move. But again, it's going from one side to the other. Some other little things you can do, like you can rotate your effect. Let's go back to the first frame. Now they counterclockwise rotates one time, and let's set it to just a basic 0 easing. Now it does a little loop-de-doo as it goes across as well. And there's other little things you can do, like orient it to pass, and you can have it scale. Don't think it has to be just a solid transition. If I choose my transformation tool, I can have it scale as it moves along as well. So now it not only rotates, but it also gets smaller. Any kind of starting and ending state, that's what a classic tween allows you to do. Now the second kind of tween we can do is a motion tween. With this one, let's turn on our blue layer. Again, we need to convert this to a symbol, because if we try to choose motion and it's not a symbol already, it'll ask you, are you sure you want to do this? And we'll say yes. If we look in our library, You'll notice now I've got symbol 1, and this symbol is now a solid motion symbol. So with it selected, again, we've got our starting position. A motion tween allows you to move your timeline. Let's say we'll move it to 10 seconds. Then I'll move it over here. And notice it automatically adds a little point to there. And it has a little line connecting to there. So let's say I'll move it down wherever else. Then we'll move our timeline. Then I can move it to another position. Let's move it all the way over to 20. And we'll move it up here. So with a motion tween, we don't have to create multiple different starting and stopping points. It automatically creates the motion for us. And if we want it to last longer, we simply drag it out and reposition the points as needed. But from here, let's move this over actually a little bit. From here, once we play it, you can see it follows that path. Another great thing about motion tweens is you can edit this path by clicking on the path and dragging. It doesn't have to follow a solid curve or a straight path. It'll follow a curved path. And much like the other ones, you can open up your properties and you can have different properties established for these different states. So for instance, I can have a color effect and change the brightness and intensity of it as it moves along. See how it gets brighter, it moves along. Or I can apply positioning and 3D rotation, all these different stuff. So a motion tween allows a motion path to go along it. So if you're not going in a straight line and you want to actually quickly add a different point to it, that's what you may use. The final kind is called a shape tween. So I'll choose the shape layer, and this will be seen through the basic green structure. With the shape tween, you don't have to convert this to a regular symbol. You can keep it a regular drawing. As with the other ones, we'll go up to Insert. In our case, we'll choose Shape Tween. The highlight this time will be green, and we'll drag along and let's create a keyframe right at 30 frames, right there. With the Shape Tween, not only when you move it does it change, but if you do any kind of transformation of it, it will transform that shape and meld it. So now if I hit play, you can see it goes along this way. Let's actually pull it out so we can see the rest of it as the others play. Actually, I'll get rid of these other ones. So now, there it is, transitioning that motion into this one. Basically, all it's doing is changing up the shape that you're working with. As with the other ones, you can have some easing in or easing out. So if I wanted to increase the ease, it'll go start off fast and go slow, or I can ease it in, start off slow and get faster. So working with these three, each one kind of having its own separate advantage and disadvantage, you can easily and quickly change up the animation of your different objects. We're going to apply these animations in a unique way in that we're going to have a character, and this character is going to have kind of a bone and muscle structure, and we're going to be able to move him around and create a walking sequence to make him look like he's alive. Now the kind of tweening I like to use is just your basic classic tween, simply because it's the easiest to work with, it's the easiest to edit, and if I need to, I can remove or add a tween as necessary. Before I leave, let me show you how to remove a tween. All you have to do is to select whatever starting keyframe that you're working in. You can go up to Edit, Timeline. Haha, I was about to tell you wrong. Hold down the Control key and click on the keyframe and choose Remove Tween, and it'll go back to a normal keyframe layer. So that's found on the actual layer itself. Holding down Control and clicking on the keyframe, then you can remove the motion, or you can actually open up and see the kind of motion that it's going to from that. Alright, so with the basic knowledge of tweening, let's jump into the project and actually start making an animation from this.